All right, we're looking at the engine compartment of a 1971 Ford Torino GT. This particular car houses a 429 Cobra jet engine that's been really massaged over. It is a 429 motor. Edelbrock air gap intake manifold, Hawley carburetor, dual feed, has a strut that transitions the two shock towers for extra structural rigidity, so there's not as much twist. Has a serpentine system in the front with the serpentine drive belt as opposed to pulleys. Brand new aluminum water pump, new alternator, billet aluminum power steering pump, dual stage master cylinder. It has a set of Edelbrock aluminum heads on it, a set of big valve heads also. High temp coated exhaust headers on this thing, a nice set of big long tube headers on it. Has an MSD complete system on it. Coil, distributor, wiring, everything is all MSD and all new. The engine in this car is fresh. There's very few miles put on it so far. Runs like a bear. It is a 429 Cobra jet engine with a set of high big valve Edelbrock heads on it. 4-pass aluminum radiator. The correct hoses for the top and bottom. Overflow bottle for the radiator system. All the cowl with the shock tower structural bracing is still intact in this vehicle. No leaks evident whatsoever on this motor. There's absolutely none on the valve pan covers, and we'll check it underneath whenever we're under there. But fantastic system with this air gap big port intake manifold that's on it. It has a 14-inch unsilenced air cleaner in it. Absolutely the original core support in this. So this car's never been bumped. It's never had any trauma whatsoever. Fantastic car. The engine compartment in this thing is as clean and nice as you'd ever want to find. I can't see a single thing on it that is out of place. Absolutely nothing. All this billet, and then Devin will show you some good defined pictures of it, this billet drive system in the front. Really impressive system that's on there as opposed to standard V-belts. Great engine compartment. It does also have the heat hooked up for the passenger compartment. It does not have air conditioning, however, but it does have the heat hooked up for the passenger compartment. Fantastic 429, fresh, in a great car. Let's go around the rest of it, see what we can show you. Hi, you're at Hanksters in Daytona Beach, Florida. Bike Week this week. There's always events going on down here. It's a great place to visit. It's another reason to come down to take a look at our vehicles while you're here during one of the functions, Speed Week, Bike Week, whatever. But today our guest on the floor is a 71 Ford Torino GT, a real GT, not a made-up one. We have a Marty report ordered for it, but we're going to go over the car and show you everything that we can. Just got the car, gave it a quick cleanup, so any little irregularities that we see, we're going to touch up for you. Obviously, it is black, and this guy is a nice black finish on it. Really great. I don't see any places where it's faded or any places where it's dented, or I'm definitely going to have a lot of fingerprints on this guy when I'm done. It's just that the air vents are open on it. It's not a functional ram air system on this particular car, but it does have an open 14-inch air cleaner that we just showed you. A little chip here we're going to brush touch. Obviously we're not going to paint the hood for it, but there's a little paint chip right there. Probably someone had something on the air cleaner and closed it. There's not a dent. I don't see a dent there, but there's definitely a chip of paint off of there. So we're going to do that for you. Fitment of the hood is great. About 1/8 of an inch all the way down across the side. And you got about the same thing on this side, clean up to the windshield. Real nice hood fitment to the fender, and you can see that there's no dents or no cave-ins or anything on the hood or the tops of the fenders. The grill area is the original plastic grill in it, and the headlights surround. All your bright trim or rounded grill with the argent finish around it is still all original and all in excellent condition. There's absolutely nothing out of place there. The bumper has a little tiny bit We're going to call it patina. The chrome on it's very, very nice. It is the original bumper on this car. It has not been replaced. And it is the original grille in this car also. The bumper fitment, Ford did a good job on that guy because it is right on. It is absolutely right on. You could not get that bumper to fit any better. And again, the chrome is the original chrome. A little tiny bit of wear, I'm going to guess, from the water running down over here through the years. You have to really look at an angle to see it, but there is a little bit of fade in the chrome there, and also on this side, same way. But certainly nothing that would dictate that you would replace that bumper. The bumper is in fantastic condition, and it is original. The front valance on this, turn signals are amber, the way they should be, and the front valance doesn't have any pulls, has a nice linear fit to it. I don't see anything at all on the nose of this car that would be a detriment. Absolutely nothing. Paint's great, the fit, the finish, everything on this is really in great shape. A little tiny bit of, I might have to hit that with a buffer. A little bit of roughness right here on the paint, probably from Ford yet whenever it was done. Great front end of the car. Let's go down the side, see what we can show you there. Okay, driver's side of our little Torino Gt car here. Nice fitment of the side marker light. You can see the way it goes up to the very nose piece here. Really great fitment, and original too. That's the way it came from Ford. Tin everywhere on this car. There is no rust. This thing was a Florida vehicle, and it absolutely has no rust whatsoever. Fender to the hood to the door. You can't get any better than that. Look at this. Really great fitment. GT designation on the brushed metal rocker panel molding on it. Trim around the front windshield. Really nice. No dinghies or dents whatsoever. Also, you have a nice accented trim on the back of the hood and the top of the fender. Correct wiper arms. Modern blades. A more modern blade on it than came from Ford. Dashboard where it transitions to the base of the windshield. Just as nice and clean as you'd ever want to find. It looks like there's a couple of small cracks, fingernail size, actually one, on the top of the padded dash that would certainly not warrant replacing it. But the metal part where it transitions to the base of the windshield, just as nice and clean and fresh as you'd ever want. Nice, clean, fresh VIN tag on it also. Sun fade, shade, and a tinted windshield in the front. Gives it a nice look to it. It does have tinted glass in it. Okay. Drip rail molding. Absolutely as nice as you'd ever want to find. And again, the roof is the roof. You know, you very, very seldom ever see a problem or an issue with the roof. There's no dents or anything evident from something falling on it through the years and putting a little wave or a dent or anything in it. It's just as nice and clean as you'd ever want to find. Tinted glass on the side. New rubber on it also. These rubbers are nice and fresh and resilient. Just as nice as you want. Also, take a look at this window fitment. Look how that front window matches the back window. Absolutely precise. A little bit of patina on this chrome. This is stainless, this is chrome. A little bit of patina, again, originality and something you certainly would not think about replacing. The wipes whiskers are original and just as fresh as you'd ever want to find. They're just in really great condition. A little bit of patina on top of the door handle also. Like you can't see it in the video. I'm telling you it's there. A set of sport mirrors on it. Black, obviously. Wow, paint on this car is really nice. I like this thing. Look at it. Huh? That's a nice door fit on that guy. Quarter panel, sail panel. Here, tin. No Bondo. It's tin everywhere. Trim around the rear light on this vehicle. No dinghies, no dents. Original hatch shelf in this. Not been replaced, and it does not need replaced. Nice curvature in the back. A little tiny bit of sun fade to it, but certainly nothing that would dictate that you would replace it or refresh it. You'd leave it just the way it is. It looks just fine. Again, quarter panel on this guy. Back to the Side marker light, Torino designation. This is as nice as it gets. This thing's as straight down the side as you will ever find a vehicle, especially one this long. Fantastic fitment on this car, really great. A set of weld aluminum wheels. Very, very iconic wheel. Big guys in the back, a little bit narrower in the front. With Cooper Cobra radials. Fresh, brand new ones we just put on the front. And the back ones are probably 85–90% there. Great looking set of tires, white leather. Gives it a lot of pop. And again, the fitment of this car, down the side, driver's side, just as nice as you'd ever want to find. Let's go out back so we can see there. Okay, back end of our Torino GT. Again, look at the fitment on this thing. The rear deck, the finish. In a black car, any little tiny imperfection is going to stick out like a sore thumb. If there's a little dingy or a dent or a chip or a warble or something in it, it's going to show up on the car. And there are none. Other than that little one I showed you, we have to brush touch on the hood. Fitment on the back. Something needs tightened. Once you tighten it, this is going to fit absolutely right where it has to be. So just have to do that. You can see it's a little loose. Just usage through the years, the latch just loosened up a little bit. Ford, really nice back end of this car. Real dramatic lighting system in the back. Ford did a great job with these Torinos. Nice trim around here, the bright trim, no dingers or marks or anything whatsoever on it. Again, original rear bumper, and the chrome on it is really, really nice. The fitment, again, right on the money. You're not going to get that to fit any better. Absolutely spot on. Rear valance, no pulls, no marks, no nothing on it. It really looks great. Looks totally original and as fantastic as you'd ever want to find. I don't even see where the... Oh, yeah, there they are. I'm trying to figure out where the heck the backup lights are. They're hidden in behind the grill. But there are backup lights on it. Real nice dramatic back end, just as the front end was on this vehicle. Ford did a fantastic job on this vehicle, design-wise. One more side. Okay, passenger side, our last side here. Again, Torino, side marker light, nice fitment, back end, everything the way it should fit. This car is absolutely gorgeous. Trim around the back window. Same as the other side. This is tinted glass all around in this car too. Really gives it a nice deep effect to it, you know, with the black car and the tinted glass, the darker interior, two-tone interior actually. Again, look at this. Totally amazing. Drip rail on this side. Absolutely not. And again, the roof, you know, it's flawless. Same patina on this chrome on top as it was on the other side. Again, not bad enough that you would ever think of replacing it, and it does have originality to it. The wife's whisker is the same on this side, do not need replaced, and they are original. Door handle on this side, ever so slight. Again, you've got to really look to see what I'm pointing out here, and you're not going to see it in the video. It's something you have to kind of look at an angle to see. Again, right-hand mirror, that's a great addition. Look at this. Look. Totally amazing. Totally amazing. Again, a GT designation along our rocker panel. Molding just the way it should be. More tin. Side marker light up front, the same as it was on the other side. Front fender antenna needs a mast on it for the radio. Just went over this whole car. Adjust the trunk. Little tiny brush touch right in the center of the hood scoop. Maybe hit this with a buffer, hit it with a little wet sand and hit it with a buffer just a little bit, or hand rub it, one of the two. Other than that, and all the fingerprints that I put all over this car whenever we just did this presentation. Car needs absolutely nothing. Again, the tires are like new in the back, absolutely new in the front. Weld wheels. We haven't polished these wheels. You could take some white diamond metal polish and make these things look like they're chrome if you want. But at this point, they're just the way they came from the factory. Great looking set of wheels, tinted glass, 429 Cobra Jet engine that's been massaged over, aluminum heads, Edelbrock, high temp coated headers, MSD ignition, Holley carburetor. If it gets any better than that, I don't know where you're going to find it. 4-pass aluminum radiator. Anything that you could do to enhance the performance of this car has been done. Fantastic car, fantastic condition. It's here at Hangsters in Daytona Beach, and we encourage everyone to come down and look at these cars in person. But if you can't, that's why we're trying to do as comprehensive a presentation as we can for you. I'm going to try to pick out every irregularity that I see, every little deficiency, and then we're going to either address it, or in some cases, you know, we're just going to brush it. Certainly not going to paint a hood for the size of a pencil eraser, smaller than that mark. So it's here in Daytona Beach, and if you want to come down, take a look at it, I'd be glad to show it to you, put it up on a rack, go for a ride, and show you everything that I can about this car. Fantastic vehicle. And you're going to flip out whenever you see what you can buy this car for. It's a fantastic car for the price. It's not going to last. Hangsters, Daytona Beach. All right, we're inside of our 1971 Ford Torino GT with a 429 Cobra Jet motor in it. Sun visors, no stitching coming loose, real nice, nice original sun visors. Headliner just drum tight, just the way it should be. You can also notice the dome light is functioning in this vehicle. The original style interior in this thing with the cloth in the center and accented with black vinyl on the outside. The original style headrests in black vinyl. Back seat matches the front seat perfectly. Door panels, you can see, aren't warped or deteriorated in any way. The chrome trim is starting to turn a little bit yellow, but that's age. Original molded armrests on it, still intact. Chrome behind them is really nice. A little tiny bit of patina on it, but again, originality. Chrome handles, window cranks, everything on this vehicle is just as nice and fresh as you'd want. Rear armrest in this vehicle also. It has a set of seat belts in the back and seat belts up front. So you got seat belts on both the front and back of this car. Other than this one little tiny crack here, which you would not repair, the dash on this car is very, very, very nice. One little knuckle mark here from something. I don't know what, but again, nothing that would dictate that you would replace that padded dash. Instrument cluster itself is really nice and clean and clear. The plastic on the outside of it, the gauges, is just as nice and clear as you'd ever want to find one. It has a temp gauge and a fuel gauge in it, and of course your controls for the heat, vent, whatever on this vehicle. Has a trio of aftermarket gauges installed in the dashboard. It has the oil pressure gauge, water temperature, and the voltmeter, and they all function. If you notice, there is a hole in the dash here. That's where the radio goes. No one's hacked it up or cut it up any way, and we do have Greg, a Ford friend of ours, is, well, it's already sent. He already sent a original equipment working AM radio that belongs in this vehicle that's going to be installed there. So it'll have all the originality it did in 1971. There's a little tiny piece of plastic missing here. Donnie just hasn't had a chance to go ahead and install it, but it'll also be installed. At one point of its life, this thing was a column shift. Now it has one of those high grade, it looks like a 4-speed shifter. It is not. It has a button in the center and the Prindle's on there. Park, reverse, neutral, drive, low. It's on there. So you can, it looks like a stick, but it isn't. It has a boot just like a stick shift also. But it is automatic transmission. It is on the floor now. No cracks whatsoever in the steering wheel. Let me check to make sure. Yep, a couple little tiny, no, one little tiny one right here. That's all I can really feel. Little tiny fingernail crack right here. Can't even see it because it's right next to the transitional horn padding. Cut loop pile carpeting, nicely padded seat. Great interior in this vehicle. The interior of this thing is the same as it was on the outside. You're not going to find one much nicer and still retaining a lot of its originality, like the dashboard, the carpeting, the seating, everything on this vehicle, the hat rack, perfect headliner. Nice car. Take a look at it. Hanksters, Daytona Beach. Here, you have a fuel gauge that is definitely functioning. It shows a half a tank of gas. Jeff wanted to make sure we didn't run out this time. And we have temperature gauge that isn't working on the dash. However, it is working down here, showing us we got 180 degrees of water temperature. We've been running this for a while. Jeff went and got gas for us. 13.8 volts of charge, which is the way it's supposed to be. 55 to 60 pounds of oil pressure, just to where it should be. Horn. We have no wipers. That's not good. We need wipers. We don't have wipers. Alright, we have to get wipers fixed. Other than that, hole in the dash where the radio should be, but Greg's sending us one, so we should have it any day now, and then we'll put it in and it'll have the standard workable AM radio that this car was released with. Got a real nice sound of exhaust on it. Alright, got a nice sound to it. Straight as an arrow down the road. Let's see, no hands on the wheel. Let's see, no hands stop. Let's see what it does. Stop straight as an arrow, no hands. Oh, guy behind me getting a little upset. Straight running car. Well, we're underneath our 1971 Torino 429 Cobra Jet car. Not a correct engine in this car, but what a car. This thing is totally amazing underneath. Someone went to a lot of trouble to do what they did with this. Disc brakes in the front, new ball joints, new shocks, new sway bar links, new sway bar bushings, new tie rod ends, new steering box, new pitman arm, new idler arm, new steering rod. Totally amazing. Deep oil pan on it. I don't know how many quarts. I'm going to guess it's got to be about a 9 or 10 quart pan. It's a pretty deep pan in this guy, but it is a definite aftermarket pan. It says Steph's oil pans on it, but it definitely a high volume pan. No leaks whatsoever on it. Also, you can see it has a set of shorty headers on it, but 2.5-inch pipes transitioning off of them and heading into two Flowmaster mufflers, which you'll see shortly. The wheel wells where they come down and transition onto the floor pans, totally undisrupted. I don't see any marks whatsoever for someone putting a jack or jack stands through the years. The front subframes on this vehicle are really in great condition. And what's really amazing about this whole vehicle is there's absolutely no deterioration, no rust. This is original 1971 under here. There's absolutely no question. Still has all the original, except for little chipped places here and there, of the Ford sound deadener that was installed by Ford Motor Company back then as a sound deadener, not an undercoating or not a rust preventative, but a sound deadener material. Functional parking brake, C6 transmission, everything been out, freshened up, new diaphragm on it, new modulator. Again, you can see the subframes on this thing are just totally undisrupted. I don't see any jack stand mark. One jack stand mark here. There's one here and there's one here. The floors themselves are the original floorboards, no question. And they are also totally rust-free. There's absolutely no deterioration whatsoever on them. None. Let's see. New U-joints on the drive shaft. The transitional structures that go on the floorboards themselves are all nice. No one made any attempts to do anything nasty with them. Let me see just to make sure. Jack stand mark here, jack stand mark here. Again, nothing to interfere with the structural integrity of the vehicle. It's just marks. I'm pointing out every little tiny mark that I can see. We're halfway down through this vehicle, and honestly, I can't really... Everything's been renovated in the front. Gear reduction starter, I neglected to mention. Cooling lines for the transmission could go up to the aluminum radiator, still just as nice and fresh as they could possibly be. Speedometer cable is not leaking. There's no dripping whatsoever from it. You can see it's a nice, clean, straight, dry undercarriage. Great looking car so far. Let's do the other half, see what we can show you there. Okay, second half of our 71 Torino. Again, the 2.5-inch pipes going into our Flowmaster mufflers, you can see. The subframes in the back, the torque boxes where the spring perches in the front are mounted. Just really in nice condition. Someone's put a jack here. It's twisted it just a little tiny bit. There's a jack mark. There's also a jack mark on this subframe right here. Again, the torque boxes themselves are just as nice as can possibly be. No deterioration, no rust whatsoever. Nice curvature to the springs. They still retain a lot of their original curvature. Multi-leaf springs in the back, drum brakes in the back, discs in the front, of course. Coil-over shocks in the rear of this guy, so it's got a set of helper coil-over springs that appear to be somewhat adjustable on it. 2.25 inch, I'm going to call them, pipes going out and transitioning right behind the rear wheels. About 6-8 inches behind the rear wheels is where they dump out. The rear end in this thing is a heavy-duty Ford 9-inch rear. New universal in the front, new universal in the back. Appears that there are new brake lines in the back here. The original fuel lines are still intact and wiring. It is the original fuel tank in the car. And again, what's really amazing is there's no deterioration whatsoever on this undercarriage. Absolutely none. Zero. It's all the original Ford splatter sound deadener that they put on it. You can see the original subframes themselves are really in great condition. Where the floor pans go and transition onto the rocker panels, the pinch welds are all still evident. The drop downs in the quarter panels are still just as fresh and nice as they were in '71 when this car was made. The subframes where they transition to the rear to the cross brace, just as nice as you'd ever hope to find. The original Ford type hangers on them, both for the springs and for the exhaust. The car's totally amazing. It's a totally rust-free 1971 Ford Torino GT. There it is, and you cannot find one with any less deterioration and rust than this guy has. Take a look at it. It's here at Hankster's in Daytona Beach.